Let's talk about etymology because before there was a word, there was a thing that the word allowed us to give meaning to, or maybe meaning gave us the word. We're going to find that out today. There's been a word that I've been curious about for the last few days. I've just been going to sleep thinking about it, and that word is performance. And so when I think about performance, not exactly sure what per means, but if you say something like they arrived per a vehicle, and that was a weird sentence, but per means, like, in the act of or, per written see, uh, I'm allowed to do this per our agreement. Maybe it's not in the act of, but it means something. So performance, and then formance, formance. I would say that also has something to do with action. But if we know what the etymology of a word is as opposed to the definition, it gives us a different dimension in which to view our own language and any language for that matter, because all etymology stems from different languages. So if I go to this website, it's funny because etymology is about how words are put together, because words are usually put together with different components of other words or other meanings. And so this website is not etymology.com because etymology has a meaning. uh it's Somebody just said, "Meanings are in the numbers, brother." Exactly. And sound is a vibration, it's frequency, and you can measure what sound is through numbers. And so I think that's the point of what we're going to discuss here, is that words are it can be broken down to numbers and shapes and whether things are in harmony or not, because sound is it's all a frequency. Like even the video, even light can be broken down into numbers, which are really shapes, measurements of shapes of different energies. That's how the video goes from this three-dimensional environment into the camera. It gets translated into digital code and then transmitted through physical wires or fiber optic cables, but it gets translated into basically numbers, and then it pops up through your phone and it gets reformatted into a two-dimensional surface. So sounds and images are essentially just ones and zeros. At the end of the day, it's on or off, it's yes or no, and that's our entire life. Our entire life is just a series of algorithms that lead us to a 1 or a 0. Do we turn right? Do we turn left? Do I say yes to this? Do I say no to this? It's all a choice. So if I go to this website, which is Etymonline, which is which is funny to me because it's not etymology.com, it's Etymonline, which essentially is, we would have to look up what is the etymology of Etymonline, and I'll do that in a second, but it probably has to do with etym, which means etymology, and then we would have to look at, like, where that does that word come from, and then online, where does online come from? And then you get the meaning of the website, which is Etymonline. So if I look up performance, and if you're on live with me on Raw Earth Instagram, you're not gonna be able to see my screen, but if you wanted to see the screen, because 'cause I'm going to be, uh, doing a lot of screen work, go to my YouTube channel. I don't know if Instagram screens for that, and this will be live there. So, performance comes from perform and ence. Oh, so I was wrong. I was thinking it was broken down as per and then formance. But at least first, they're breaking it down as perform plus ence. And it means that which is accomplished, a thing performed. So, perform, which we all know what the definition of that is, carry into effect, discharge, carry out what is demanded or required, meaning that which is accomplished. This state of completion, an accomplishment of an act. I don't know if this is very so ence actually means in the state of. So a performance is basically you're in the state of oh geez, of carrying out something. You're in the state of carrying out something. Hmm, interesting. Meaning give words, in my opinion. Great topic. So let's look at the etymology of etymology, shall we? So, et, eh, actually, I'm just going to go back to the homepage of Etymonline. Etymologies are not definitions, they're explanations of what our words meant and how they sounded 600 or 2,000 years ago. The dates beside a word are the earliest year in which they were surviving the written record. If you guys would like me to look up a word, let me know. There's some of my favorite words. So one of them is weird, weird, because a lot of us say that's so weird, right? So weird actually means having power to control fate from 1400 or Old English weird spelled WYRD means fate, chance, fortune, destiny. Literally, it means that which comes. So when something happens and we're like, "That's so weird that that happened," it I feel like a lot of us feel that the word weird means that it's bizarre or, uncommon or weird. But weird actually means that which comes, like it's the fate or destiny. So when you start thinking about cats and a cat jumps on your shoulder at the exact moment, then you say, "That's weird. I was just thinking about that and then this happens." But that's actually exactly what it means. It's crazy. Somebody just asked, "What does Israel mean?" It's actually Israel as I was writing it, I was like, "Israel." It comes from Latin Ezrael, from Greek Yisrael, or that's Hebrew is Yisrael, and it means he that striveth with God. Symbolic proper name confirmed on Jacob and extended to his descendants from Sarah. He fought contended. El, God. So El, the Israel, the L part of Israel means God. That was a good one. So another word that I really like is want, because want, weird and want, it's funny. They're both W's. So want actually means to lack. And it's from there's a lot of places you have to look, but sometimes suffix from a form "u," which means to leave, abandon, give out. So way, way, way back, it comes from Norse, meaning vanta, which means to lack. So when we say I want something, I really, really, really want something, we're actually saying the truth, right? Which is we lack it. And that's where etymology really reforms our meaning of a situation. more than we even know, right? It gives us the map of what we're saying that we're not even aware of. Oh, that's so weird. We're consciously thinking that it's weird. We just know it's weird. And then we've got a whole idea of what weird is. But what weird really means is that it's fate. It is meant to happen. We're pointing out that is happening as it's meant to be. And that's a very weird thing. Super weird. Want, we're literally pointing out what we're lacking. It's literally like exactly true. It's more true than we even know it to be, which is amazing. Amazing. What's another word that we use a lot? I'm gonna look this up because a lot of people say that day means a days that we're in, right? So day means a period during which the sun is above the horizon, a lifetime, definite time of existence from dag in Old English. But let's dig a little bit down into this. Day, dais, platform or raised floor at the one end of a room or hall. So why would that matter? French dais or droit, which means a platform or a high table. In Latin, it means a disc shaped object. All the flat earthers are peeking their head right now. Peeking disc or dish. Hmm. So day comes the meaning that we see is that it comes from something having to do with 24-hour period, having to do with the sun being above the horizon, but it also has something to do with a disk or a platform. Anyways, those are some examples of how we can use etymology to enhance our perception of the world. I was going to look up the word etymology, wasn't I? Etymology? Etymology? Etymology comes from eth- etymologia, Old French. I don't even want to begin to pronounce that. But facts or the origin and development of a word. We really have to think back. There may have been a time, evolutionary speaking, where there wasn't words. There was just eye contact. And we might even need to go back before the enhancement of the vocal cords, which we can then go into animals and just see how they communicate with each other. A large way that animals communicate with each other is eye contact. And as humans, we actually have large whites. There's a difference in our eyes. The iris and pupil are different than the whites of our eyes, and that actually adds to an ability to communicate, and there were no words. So if you're on a hunt, you're looking at your compadres to determine what the next move will be. And a lot of times in animals, they're looking at the alpha or the one that's in charge. And that could be both male or female, depending on the species. And so the eyes relayed a lot of communication. And eyes are funny because eyes are white on the outside, right? So white does what? White reflects light. It gives all of the information back. And black is what brings it in. So in the center of our eyes is the blackest black that our body produces. And then surrounding that is melanin, which also is colored to absorb light. And then around that is white, which is meant to reflect out light. So it's almost pushing the light away from itself and then it's going into the blackness of our eyes. And a lot of people don't understand like how can black actually draw light in? It does. That's why football players put black underneath their eyes because if you put black underneath your eyes, you're literally the light is being attracted more to this black than it is to your eyes, and it's keeping the sun out of your eyes when you're looking up to catch the football. And so when you actually, and I'm going on bizarre tangents, when you actually wear the color black, you're actually drawing in more light. You're more attractive to light, which is why if you go to a club where everybody's trying to be attractive, they're all wearing black because that's what's drawing in light. And it actually makes people look thinner, number one, because it's pulling in the light and keeping it. It's not bouncing anything out. If you're in a room and there's light shining on you and you're wearing black, very little of it is bouncing out. It's just being absorbed into your clothes. And it also highlights the rest of your features, like your face, which is out of the blackness. But black is interesting because it draws people in. What's the color of our TVs? What's the color of our devices? They're black until they're colored, which they're not colored the way that things are colored in the physical environment. So when you're looking at a leaf, for example, it's the color green. But what that actually means is that the sunlight is hitting that leaf and it's absorbing all of the color spectrum, the visual color spectrum, except for the color green. And then that green bounces off, and you then through numbers, through shapes, through energy, you translate what the light coming off this is as green. But really what this is everything but green, because this leaf is pulling all of the visual light spectrum except for the spectrum of green, which we see. Our phones, our devices, our computer monitors operate almost the exact opposite, which is that it's actually emitting light in the color that we receive it. So it's emitting green light, and then we see green. And it's funny because the way that colors mix within a lighted surface or a non-lighted surface, which I think is there's different terminology for that, operates differently. So red mixed with blue, if you do that in paint, which is a physical, it's non-lit, red mixed with blue in the physical world equals green. And red mixed with blue in CMYK equals pink. So if you take red light and blue light and mix it together, you're going to get the color magenta because it's lighted red light, I should say. Red light mixed with blue light. For instance, the color magenta is made out of red and blue, while cyan is made out of green and blue, and yellow is made out of both red and green. So if you mix red and green in a computer screen, you're going to get yellow. So the primary colors of a lighted surface versus a non-lighted surface, like paint, is completely different, which is bonkers to me. But all graphic designers know this. It's the difference between RGB and CYMK, which are the color spectrums that they use. RGB is if something's going to be printed on a piece of paper, and that's the primary colors: red, green, blue. Is that right? Anyways, or versus if it's going to be used as a digital flyer, you have to use different colors. Ta ta, everybody.